This is how to install swing arm extensions using a BMW S1000RR as an example. Now in this example, the reason I'm installing these swing arm extensions is to lengthen my wheelbase and make this bike less likely to stare at the clouds on takeoff as opposed to last year, and this is for the upcoming Texas Mile event. These are the axle extenders, or swing arm extensions, whatever you want to call them, and they'll actually go right here, bolt in place, and move the whole axle back several inches to give you a longer wheelbase, ideally to keep this thing from trying to wheelie and kick me off again. That's kind of what they're going to look like. So before I do anything, I need to get the old wheel off and all this stuff out so I can start installing these. All right, the wheel's off. Sprocket can come off. I'm going to have to get a longer chain. So I'll have to get everything remounted and then figure out how long of a chain I need. Put that off to the side for now. This is going to end up going in here. I need to remove the existing axle adjusters, and then that should mount right in place. All right, both axle adjusters are out. All right, first thing to do is take the support plate screws out. Okay. This piece goes in here. It's supposed to fit in there. I mean, you do want it to be a tight fit. Just want to make sure it's engaged as much as possible here. So, this surface right here is flush. So get these guys tight. Make sure that's fully engaged. There's that one. I always like to use a little bit of anti-seize when it comes to axle adjusters. We don't want those guys binding up in there. I'm going to take the other one and put some anti-seize on that as well. The next challenge may be this brake caliper back here. It's on a bracket that slides to a piece on the swing arm, and that means when we put the swing arm extension on, it's going to have a new location to go, which is quite a bit back from there. So the question is, will this cable and brake line be long enough to scoot it back? The first thing I'll do is loosen each of the tie points for the cable and brake line, get as much relief as I can, and see if that's enough to slide this back and get it where I need to make it. The second swing arm extension is mounted now with the rear brake caliper. Now this is not ideal. What I did is removed all the brackets that keep it tight everywhere, including this rear fender, and basically have it stretched, which isn't ideal, I get it, but it does come back far enough, and it may limit how far back within these slots I can go, but just by virtue of getting back in here, I'm picking up 3.5, 4 inches of wheelbase. We're gonna place the wheel in the swing arm. We're not worried about the chain because we're gonna have to get a longer chain anyway. All right, the axle's through, the nut started. We'll get it to a spot where we feel pseudo comfortable with that banjo brake line. Snug, let's get this one to be the same. And the way I'm gonna do it is I'm gonna measure the gap in here. I need to come back a little bit here. Okay, so that's gonna be good enough there. The back wheel is in place. Oh no, here's a problem. The stand I have no longer works because the wheel's in the way. Oh, that's unfortunate. So what really should happen is I should have a pair of spool holes right about there so I can use this gadget back here. So I used the chain brake tool to break this chain, and then what I did is I ran it all the way around and I measured the gap between the end of it and where it needs to be. It looks like minimum I need 14 inches, so I better do 16 inches to be safe over what this one is. This one, doubling it, makes 36 almost exact, which means the whole thing is 72 inches. So 72 inches plus 16 is an 88-inch chain. Is about what I'm looking for. It's for 142 links is what I want. Now I don't know if I can buy a chain that has that many links in it for this size. I may have to get one big one and then chop this up and put 2 master links in. You want to minimize the number of master links, so I'd rather have just 1 master link, but if I have to do 2, I have to do 2. I just need 142 links and an 88-inch chain to make this work. As I noted earlier, I can't get this stand out with the wheel mounted because these spools are too far forward to where the wheel sits now with these extensions. So what I'm going to do is put the bike on the jack stands with the rear sets again, get this stand out of there. I've taken the front stand and I've adjusted it with this screw here to put these lifts all the way to the outside. So now, once it's up in the air on the stands, I can then grab it with these guys through the extensions, lift it up, and have room to insert the wheel and get everything set right. Okay, there's that stand out of the way. All right. See how this works. Seems solid. All right, I'll put the sprocket carrier back in place. Line up that brake caliper first. The DID chain came in. This is a 150 link. I stayed with the gold like the old one. It's the same ZVMX, I think this one was. That's basically the highest strength chain you can get in the 520 pitch. This bike obviously has had the 520 lighter weight sprocket and chain conversion a long time ago. So time to install this and use the toolkit to get it the right length and get this all set up here for length of the chain and position of the rear wheel in the swing arm. All right, I put the stock length chain back in the box so I can put that back on after converting it back to track mode or street mode, whatever I choose. I've got the new chain, need to feed through there. I don't think it really matters, but I usually make it so that the writing on the chain on the lower link is right side up, which means it'll be upside down on top. I was able to get the new chain strung around through there by putting a screwdriver in through here and rotating the sprocket, grabbing the chain. Got it back to here. I'm going to put 2 marks on here. I'm going to put one where it would go right now, and then I'm going to put another one further out, one more pair of links out. You want to make sure that you're doing it in such a way that you have 2 internal links side by side, because that master link is what's going to join them. The reason I'm going 2 more out is I'm going to start there and I'm going to see if I can do that and move it all the way back. And if I'm limited by that brake line, then I'll either order a new brake line or I'll just come back to this one, because this still picks me up about 4 or 5 inches in my wheelbase. So I'm going to use my tool and break the chain right there to see how that works. I was able to make the longer version that I initially tried work, and the brake line isn't a lot of slack. It's kind of a banjo string, but it'll work. And that gives me the ability to be as far back in here as I can, giving me the most improvement on wheelbase. I got the axle adjusters synced. Both of them measure correct left to right, so that's even in there. The chain's there. Now I just got to finish clamping the master link and I'll have that chain done. The master link is installed. I cannot stress enough how little details like this are so important about how you use these proper tools to do the proper job, like flaring out these rivets You definitely don't want that chain coming undone and taking your leg off or something, and that's actually unfortunately a possibility. So make real sure you get everything perfect on these modifications or even just normal maintenance and repair. All right, now that I am fully decked out in my gear, chains adjusted, axle adjusters tightened and adjusted, measured, and rear axle nut is torqued. Just need to safety wire this guy. And the safety wire is done there. It's not ideal, but it'll work. I've just got a zip tie holding the rear brake reservoir to the subframe. I had to remove all the official bracketing because of the way this rear brake line is set up now. So there's still some spring in it. It's not banjo tight. And then this is what'll hold that in place for now. Should be done.
Subscribe to my YouTube channel below and let's celebrate turning fuel and air into adrenaline.